Hi and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Nyambura and this is 100 on Books. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my October 2022 book haul. Let's get into it. So in October I got books in 2 installments, so to speak. Technically 3, but let's call them 2. The first was a massive book haul with this children's bookseller who sells children's books opposite City Market in the CBD. This is for people who live in Nairobi. If you'd like his contacts, I'm happy to share them with you because he's happy for me to share them with him. I have asked him. So the first of those was this book on Cesar Chavez. If it's not been clear so far, this house is anti-capitalist, but at the very least we care about workers' rights in this house. And just to read your description so that you know what it's about. Cesar Chavez fought tirelessly for migrant workers' rights. As you read, evaluate how well you think the author depicts the struggles Chavez faced. And it's by Jessica Paulson. Oh, it says on the cover too. So that's the first of those. The second was The Royal Diaries, Witamu, Heart of the Pocasets, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, 1653. And this is by Patricia Clark Smith. So a description. At the back there is a diary entry and it says, he, father, laid his hand gently on my shoulder and told me that if I, Wetamu, am to become Sachem of us Pocasets after him and prove a good leader, I must learn to walk more carefully through the world. I shook my hair out of my eyes and stared up at him in surprise. I said he surely could not mean that I was poor at tracking game or at passing unseen through the woods. He knows I can follow almost any trail, and he has seen for himself how I can edge my way near enough to a door and a pair of speckled fawns to hear their 3 separate breaths. Did he not teach me all these skills himself? I spluttered. And was I not better at it than any boy or girl in our village? So there was a bunch of these Royal Diaries books. Most of them featured like white girls. So I picked this because, you know, it was an indigenous girl. Also, it's a hardback. And look at those gold edges. So that's the second one. The next one is A Handful of Quiet, Happiness in 4 Pebbles by Thich Nhat Hanh, who was introduced to by Raul. I'll put a link to Raul's Goodreads profile downstairs because he's such a great reader and such a generous reviewer. So I'll read the description. Pebble meditation is a fun, unique and innovative method of introducing children to the practice of meditation. Developed by Zen master, best-selling author and Nobel Peace Prize nominee Thich Nhat Hanh, A Handful of Quiet contains easy-to-understand instructions for this creative, hands-on way to experience our interconnection with nature and calm busy bodies and minds. Whether practiced alone or with the whole family, Pebble meditation can help relieve stress, increase concentration, nourish gratitude, and help children deal with difficult emotions. I've actually been... Thich Nhat Hanh has the organization that he's part of, which is called Plum Village, has a really cool app that I use, which I was introduced to by Raul still. And so when I saw this and the name was familiar and it's proven so useful to me, I figured why not have something like this that would be helpful, you know, like if I have kids in the house or if I myself want, you know, like something to help calm me down. And my mom really enjoyed it. The illustrations are really beautiful. And yeah. The next one is Pictures of Hollis Woods by Patricia Riley Giff. And this I picked up originally because it was a Newbery Honor book, and I sort of usually ask Martin to put this aside for me, or at least to bring them to my attention if I'm around. So it says Hollis Woods is the place where a baby was abandoned, is the baby's name, is an artist, is now a 12-year-old girl who's been in so many foster homes she can hardly remember them all. Hollis Woods is a mountain of trouble. She runs away even from the Reagans, the only family who offers her a home. When Hollis is sent to Josie, an elderly artist who's quirky and affectionate, she wants to stay, but Josie is growing more forgetful every day. If social services finds out, they'll take Hollis away and move Josie into a home. Well, Hollis Woods won't let anyone separate them. She's escaped the system before. This time she's taking Josie with her. Still, even as she plans her future with Josie, Hollis dreams of the past summer with the Reagans, fixing each special moment of her days with them in pictures she'll never forget. Patricia Riley Giff captures the yearning for a place to belong in this warm-hearted story, which stresses the importance of artistic vision, creativity, and above all, family. I bet you guys know that I'm always looking for books like these that feature children who are in care or who are in the foster system or who have been adopted and so on and so forth, because I don't think you can ever see enough of those stories. And taking care of kids is important, you know, and really putting their interests and what's important for them at the heart of what we do. So pictures of all these foods. Then the next one was Madeleine L'Engle's. How do you say her name, Tom?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I'm asking my brother. He's on recording. It's a companion to A Wrinkle in Time, and it's called A Swiftly Tilting Planet. So I haven't read A Wrinkle in Time actually, but this sounded interesting, so I picked it up. And this particular edition is a commemorative edition with an introduction by the author. At the back it says, Meg, Mary O'Keefe and her family are just sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner, which is around the corner when I'm recording this, when her family gets a phone call from the White House about a madman's threat of nuclear war. Only an old Irish rune seems to hold a clue to averting worldwide disaster. When Meg's brother Chris Wallace, now 15, recites it, a radiant white beast, the unicorn Gordia, appears to join him on his quest. But there are only 24 hours in which to prevent the tragedy. Can Charles Wallace, with the help of Gordia and Meg, possibly succeed? We'll find out. Next, Dear America, A Picture of Freedom, the diary of Clotilde, a slave girl, Belmont Plantation, Virginia, 1859. And this is by Patricia M. McKissack. So at the back it says, day or two later, freedom is one of the first words I teached myself to write. Down in the quarters, people pray for freedom. They sing about freedom, but to keep Mass Henley from knowing their true feelings, they call freedom heaven. Everybody's mind is on freedom. But it is a word that ain't never showed me no picture. While fanning this afternoon, my eyes fell on freedom in a book William was reading. No wonder I didn't say none. I've been spelling it F-R-E-D-U-M. I put the right words in my head to make sure I remembered their place. F-R-E-E-D-O-M. I just now wrote it. Still no picture. And I find slave narratives very, illuminating. And because this is aimed at children, I think it would be, an interesting conversation starter with a child or with children, about what it meant to be a slave child, what it meant to be a slave girl, especially because chattel slavery in the US meant that it started in childhood, and it's never too early to talk about what that means, because I've talked about this before. We are still living in the afterlife of slavery, in terms of how it figures in our modern world and so on. So next, Object Lessons by Anna Quinlan. I only realized after I got home that this is a large print edition. It even has large print at the back. So it says, Object Lessons. Young Maggie Scanlon begins to sense that beneath the calm everyday surface of her peaceful suburban life, everything is going wrong. Her all-powerful grandfather is reduced to a shadow by a stroke, and her unemotional father bursts into tears. Her mother gets pregnant again, learns to drive a car, and now is rarely home. Her street-smart cousin Monica and her best friend Debbie start doing things that leave her confused and frightened about sex and sin. And Maggie celebrates her 13th birthday. All of these seems linked somehow to the building going on behind Maggie's house, so that in the future, whenever she smells the peculiar odor of new construction, she'll be taken back to this troubling, mystifying, and ultimately liberating summer. I think I've read about Object Lessons somewhere, so I picked it up for that reason. Also, I love those things change dramatically during one summer books. Right. This is former library title. It says right here, Solano County Library. And it has that cover I like so much. I don't know if you can see it, but this is What I Leave Behind by Alison McGee. And the description, it says, sometimes to walk, you got to walk the day out of you, you know? Walk it right out through the soles of your feet. Then it says, Will is a walker. Home, school, work, repeat. He walks one day in and the next day out. He walks past this little dude who waits for butterflies. Past Superman, the homeless guy on First Street. Past the dog of insanity, forever chained and barking. Then there's some places Will can't walk past. The bridge on 4th Street. The store with the shelves of 100 Chinese blessings. His friend Player's house. But when the universe places unexpected detours in his path, Will's gotta figure out how to stop walking away from his problems and walk toward them. And as a walker, like if you subscribe to my newsletter, I always put a link below, and you can find it downstairs. I could not resist this because this is me, a walker. I walk everywhere. Like, left to my own devices, I'd walk everywhere. And so it's always intriguing to find a book that centers a walker. Next, The Birthday Room by Kevin Henkes. It says back here, 2 of the things Benjamin Hunter received for his 12th birthday took him completely by surprise. A room and a letter. The room was from his parents. The letter was from his uncle. Ben doesn't remember his uncle, and no one in his family ever talks about him. All Ben knows is that a long time ago there was a terrible accident, and now his mother bears a deep grudge. And then this letter arrives, an invitation to come and visit. Excuse me. I will pay for the plane tickets, his uncle writes. I want to see you and know you again. Though Ben isn't sure what he thinks about the room, he knows that he wants to take the trip. Will his mother forget the past long enough to take Ben on a journey that could change the family for good? I love. Again, Summer to Remember, event to remember books. And I spoke about this in my most recent, yes, when you see this, it will be the most recent, what's it called? Wrap up. But I'll put a link downstairs so you can hear my thoughts about this, because it's the only one of these books I have read, actually. The next one I got was The Moomins and the Great Flood by Tove Jansson. It says, The Moomins and the Great Flood is the first book about the Moomins, originally published in 1945. It is a story about Moomin Mama and Moomin Troll's search for the missing Moomin Papa and how they found their way to the Moomin Valley. The beginning of all the Moomin adventures, now for the first time in English. I have never read a Moomin book, and so when I saw this, I couldn't pass it up, especially because, like a lot of internet users, I have used that Moomin meme. I'm going to insert it here. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Next, another one of those socialist books, Mother Jones, Fierce Fighter for Workers' Rights by Judith Pinkerton Josephson. So it says at the back, oh, it actually doesn't say anything at the back, would you believe? But yeah, I picked it up because Mother Jones was a fierce fighter for workers' rights, and I'm hoping to build up a library of, books about Black liberation, the liberation of colonized people, but also worker rights and so on for children and for myself. So this was a welcome addition. Next, The Lost Track of Time by Paige Britt with drawings by Lee White. Just the idea of this was so interesting. You understand why when I read it to you. Penelope is running out of time. She dreams of being a writer, but how can she pursue her passion when her mother schedules every minute of her life? And how will she ever prove that writing is worthwhile if her mother keeps telling her to get busy and be more productive? Then one day, Penelope discovers a hole in her schedule, an entire day completely unplanned, and she mysteriously falls into it. What follows is a mesmerizing journey through the realm of possibility, where Penelope sets out to find and free the great Mudla, the one person who may have the answers she seeks. Along the way, she must face an army of clockworkers, battle the evil Kronos, take a daring flight of fancy, and save herself from the grip of time. And just the wordplay, and look at these. The wordplay and the fact that it resonates even with me. Like, so many of us, like people living in the modern world, are caught up in, highly scheduled lives and so on. And so, granted, the main character is a child, but I'm sure, there's something in it for me. The next one, is Happy Families, which some of us may know references the Tolstoy quote. But this is another one from the Solano County Library System. And it says, that thing Tolstoy says about happy families got to me. Happy families are all alike. All of them are safe and confident that nothing on this earth can take that away from them. Just like we were before Dad's little secret hit us like a wrecking ball. And the longer description says, teenage twins Isabel and Justin Nicholas are lucky. Isabel's jewelry designs have already caught the eyes of the art world, and Justin's intelligence and drive are sure to gain him entrance into an excellent college. They even like their parents. They're the ultimate happy family, or so they believe, until they learn that their father has been hiding a secret from them, a secret that will change everything. Spring break this year means Isabel and Justin will be forced to come to terms with their dad's new life. They know they'll never be the same happy family they were ever again. So who are they now? And this, it's not really a spoiler, is a book that has a trans character. Again, not a spoiler, but it's kind of here on the cover. Next, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day by Judith Fios and illustrated by Ray Cruz. It says, Alexander knew it was going to be a terrible day when he woke up with gum in his hair. And it got worse. His best friend deserted him. There was no dessert in his lunch bag. And on top of all that, there were lima beans for dinner and kissing on TV. This handsome new edition of Judith Voice classic picture book is sure to charm readers of all ages. It's me. I'm readers of all ages. So. The next one is Swimming by Leo Leone. It's honestly, it's one of those short, and I picked it up because it's a Caldecott on a book. It was a Caldecott on a book, so very heavy on the pictures, and features this character called Swimmy, who's separated from the rest of his school of fish, and then he's Swimmy, so he sort of has to go and find, a new community. I really like the art. Like, a huge part of the reason I picked it up was the art, to be honest. Like, look at those. Lastly, from that batch is Ashanti to Zulu, African Traditions by Margaret Musgrove with pictures by Leo and Diane Dillon, another Caldecott Medal book. I usually have strong feelings. About books about Africa written by non-Africans or written by people who are not black or, from MENA. Because not everybody on the continent is black, but African, not from the continent, basically. If you're not from North Africa or from Sub-Saharan Africa or whatever. But anyway, this is an alphabet, so as it says, Ashanti to Zulu, so A to Z, with different African traditions. So it's basically really it's about different ethnic groups across the continent. These are the Rendile who live in Ethiopia and Kenya. There's also another Kenyan group, the Maasai. Westerners usually say the Maasai. Hausa. Let's see what the Y is, as I imagine it would be Yoruba, and so on. So yeah, Chaga, who live in Tanzania, which is south of Kenya, where I live, and so on and so forth. So this is interesting for that level. I'll hang on to it just, as an entry point for conversations on the different ethnic groups in Africa. And there are many. Just in Kenya there are over 40, so imagine a whole continent. But yeah, this is 26 of them. If the light has changed, it's because the weather has changed and I'm using natural light, so here we go. The next set of books or items I'll show you came from the Big Bad Wolf sale that happened at Sarit Center here in Nairobi. It was mid. Okay, it was mid. I went expecting a bunch of like literary fiction. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting a lot of African fiction because not a lot of people are checking for us like that. But I at least expected a lot of literary fiction, and I did not get that much. Also because I read a lot of library books. I'm going to share a link to my library check-in series. It's called Maktaba Manenos downstairs, so I have a playlist. I generally tend to buy very few books. I know you can tell from this whole, but I don't buy a lot of new books. And so between that and the fact that the selection was mid, I ended up buying 2 books and 2 book-related items. So I'm going to show them to you. The first of those books was Exploring Materials, Creative Design for Everyday Objects by Ina Alessina and Ellen Lapton. The description is long, but it's pretty much what it says on the can. And I'm always interested in design thinking, especially because one of them has, Alessina has a great interest in universal design, which I've been interested in since the days of, I can't even remember when I started being interested in universal design, but there have been a few episodes on 99% Invisible and other design podcasts like those that have talked about universal design, but also what goes into the making of things, what goes into, the decisions that go into choosing certain materials for certain objects and so on and so forth. So looking forward to reading this. And the other book I got during that sale was Sing and Buried Sing by Jasmine Ward. I love this book. I mean, I remember when I first read it like it was yesterday and how much it impacted me. Maybe I should read a description. So, Jojo is 13 years old and trying to understand what it means to be a man. He doesn't lack in fathers to study, chief among them his black grandfather, Pop. But there are other men who complicate his understanding. His absent white father, Michael, who's been released from prison, his grandfather, Big Joseph, who won't acknowledge his existence, and the memories of his uncle, Given, who died as a teenager. His mother, Leonie, is an inconsistent presence in his and his toddler sister's lives. She's an imperfect mother in constant conflict with herself and those around her. She's black and her children's father is white. She wants to be a better mother but can't put her children above her own needs, especially her drug use. Simultaneously tormented and comforted by visions of her dead brother, which only come to her when she's high, Leonie is embattled in ways that reflect the brutal reality of her circumstances. When the children's father is released from prison, Leonie packs her kids and a friend into her car and drives north to the heart of Mississippi and Patchman Farm, the state's penitentiary. At Patchman, there's another 13-year-old boy, the ghost of a dead inmate, who carries all the ugly history of the South with him in his wandering. He too has something to teach Jojo about fathers and sons, about legacies, about violence, about love. Rich in words, distinctive lyrical language, Sing and Buried Sing is a majestic new work and an unforgettable family story. Listen, this book and Salvage the Bones, like, Jasmine Ward knows how to destroy me. And so I do not have a copy of this book. And Linda Barras, I'm going to share a link to her Scribd discount code so that you can use it and get 60 days off when you sign up. When Linda posted a picture on Instagram, I was like, how come I didn't see this when I got there? And then she went back and got me this copy. So thank you, Linda, for getting me this. And then I got 2 book-related items, but they're not really book items. So on the day when I went back, hoping to get Sing and Buried Sing, and I did not get it, I went with my friend Angie Moturi. I'm going to share a link to her Twitter downstairs. And we got instead 2 teens. I'll now proceed to show you the teens we got. This is the first of those 2 teens. It's a Star Wars 40th anniversary teen. It includes a book of the film and a doodle book. So, book. And the other one is this one. It's a Star Wars coloring tin that has 3 illustrated books to color. So technically not books in the I'm going to read them sort of way, but they came from a book sale. So yeah, that's it. That's all of my October haul. So in terms of cost, the 2 Star Wars tins were 100 shillings a piece. The design book was 1100 shillings. The Sing and Buried Sing was 750, and all the children's books together came to 1,500 shillings, which brings my total to $35.50 for this haul. So not so bad, because that's under $30 for everything at the current exchange rates. And that's it from me. I'm afraid this is going to topple. That's it from me and the October book haul, and see you at the next book haul or in the next video, whichever comes first. Take care. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and all the good things, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.